won't be fooled. We're breaking through, breaking through. Their propaganda we can see right through. We're waking up, ain't nothing they can do. They lied to you.
Have you ever pondered over the fate of the ancient civilizations that were erased from the face of the earth? How many resets was done by God? It's a question that has intrigued many minds throughout history. Today, we delve into the enigmatic reset of vanished nations. Nations that once thrived, but are now lost in the sands of time. The Quran offers intriguing insights into these lost civilizations. Is an ancient book, rich with tales of nations that met mysterious ends. These stories, scattered across its chapters, weave a tapestry of human history. They remind us of the fleeting nature of power, the consequences of arrogance, and the inevitability of time. So let's dive into the verses of the Quran that shed light on these forgotten nations, unearth their stories, understand their fates, and learn from the lessons they left behind. First, it was the people of Noah, or Prophet Nuh. He told the people that he was a messenger appointed by Allah to deliver his messages to them and urge them not to stray from Allah's guidance. Despite all his efforts and patience of 950 years, not everyone accepted the divine guidance. Some people made Prophet Nuh's life difficult and drove him away from their valley. After hundreds of years of patience and trying to reason with the evil people, Nuh finally realized the futility of his efforts. He understood that the people were inclined toward evil and would spread corruption in the land. Hence he prayed to Allah to wipe out the disbelievers from the land to purify it. Allah heard his dua and commanded him to build an ark. Their Lord had decided their fate, and now it was only a matter of time before he carried it out. The people watched in surprise, mocking him as he went about constructing an ark. Finally, when the ark was ready, Allah told Nuh to board it with his family and the believers alongside a male and female pair of each animal. The disbelievers couldn't understand what was happening. After the people went onto the ark, Allah opened the floodgates and it rained as it had never rained previously. The waves were even taller than the mountains and all the disbelievers drowned. Allah narrates in the Quran that Nuh pleaded with him for his son, but Allah reprimanded him and told him he was not his son biologically. Nuh then asked for his forgiveness for questioning his decree, and Allah forgave him. The ark came to rest and the believers disembarked alongside the animals to a new world they have to repopulate. Then, we have the people of Ad, mentioned in Surah Hud 11:59-60. The people of Ad were an ancient civilization of giants, known for their phenomenal strength and architectural prowess. They reveled in their might, but this pride led to their downfall. Please watch the video we made of them. When the Prophet Hud, one of their own, came with a divine message of humility and monotheism, they arrogantly dismissed him. They refused to recognize the supreme power of the universe, choosing instead to bask in their own glory and idol worship. The Ad people's rejection of Hud's message didn't go unanswered. The Quran recounts that a fierce wind was sent upon them for 7 nights and 8 days. This savage storm, a divine retribution, obliterated the people of Ad, reducing their magnificent structures to ruins and their proud civilization to mere whispers in the tales of history. And thus, the mighty Ad were wiped off the earth, a stark reminder of the fate of those who defy divine commands. Next, we turn our attention to the people of Tomod, as discussed in Surah Al-Araf 7:73-79. The Tomod were a prosperous civilization known for their architectural prowess. However, they were also steeped in disbelief and disobedience. Allah sent the Prophet Salih to guide them back to the path of righteousness. When they demanded proof of his prophethood, Salih, by the will of Allah, brought forth a miraculous she-camel from a rock. Yet, this miracle was not enough for the people of Tomod. In a wicked act of defiance, they killed this divine sign, rejecting the clear message sent to them. As a result, they incurred the wrath of Allah. A terrible earthquake struck their land, wiping out the entire civilization. Their grand structures and dwellings were left deserted, a silent testament to their folly. In their arrogance, Tomod met a tragic end, their once flourishing civilization reduced to mere ruins. Another civilization that met a grim fate were the people of Lot, as detailed in Surah Al-Araf 7:80-84. This society, deeply entrenched in immorality, turned a deaf ear to the teachings of Prophet Lot, who had been sent to guide them towards righteousness. Despite his tireless efforts, his words fell on barren soil as they continued to indulge in sinful practices. The Quran vividly illustrates the people of Lot's obstinate rejection of divine guidance. Their hearts hardened, their ears closed. They chose to wander in the darkness of ignorance rather than embrace the light of truth. And so, the divine decree was passed. A rain of stones, each marked by the Almighty, descended upon the people of Lot, annihilating them completely. Their once thriving cities were reduced to rubble, a chilling reminder of the consequences of straying from the path of righteousness. Thus, the people of Lot were wiped out, their cities turned into a symbol of divine punishment. In the Quran, the people of the forest are mentioned in verse 50:14. God says, "The residents of the forest and the people of Tomod each rejected their messenger, so my warning was fulfilled." Who were the resident of the forest? In 2018, in the Amazon forest, as difficult as they can be to locate it in the forest, earthworks clearly built by humans were discovered. Designs known as geoglyphs have been found in several other Amazon locales. In 2018, scientists using satellite images reported that large areas of Amazon forest in Brazil's Mato Grosso state, once thought to have been sparsely inhabited at best, were dotted with villages and oddly shaped earthwork geoglyphs. Even here, away from large rivers, many hundreds of villages could have housed up to 1 million people between 1250 and 1500 CE in an area that represents only about 7% of the Amazon. However, if larger urban centers anchored these populated sites, they haven't yet been identified, but God tells us in the Quran that they were destroyed. And recently, they discovered a Mayan city in the jungle. Finally, we come to Pharaoh and his people, whose story is narrated in Surah Yunus 10:75-92. Pharaoh's reign was marked by the harsh oppression of the children of Israel. He ruled with an iron fist, treating those under him with contempt and cruelty. But among the oppressed rose a beacon of hope, Moses. He stood against Pharaoh's tyranny, serving as a conduit for divine intervention. But Pharaoh and his people were not easily swayed. They defied Moses, refusing to acknowledge the divine power that he represented. Their defiance, however, would be their downfall. As Moses led the children of Israel to freedom, he parted the Red Sea, a miracle that stands as testament to his divine mandate. Pursuing them, Pharaoh and his people were caught in the closing of the sea. In their hubris, Pharaoh and his people were consumed by the sea, marking the end of their tyrannical reign. In 1090-92, God says, "We brought the children of Israel across the sea." Then Pharaoh and his soldiers pursued them unjustly and oppressively. But as Pharaoh was drowning, he cried out, "I believe that there is no God except that in whom the children of Israel believe, and I am now one of those who submit." He was told, "Now you believe, but you always disobeyed and were one of the corruptors. Today we will preserve your corpse so that you may become an example one for those who come after you." And surely most people are heedless of our examples. We see today, as God promised, many tourists go to visit his corpse as God predicted in Egypt each year. As we journey through these verses, we are reminded of the transient nature of worldly power and glory. We've traversed the epochs of Nu, the giants of Ad, Tomod, Lot, the people of the forest, and the Pharaoh, civilizations that once stood tall, commanding respect and awe. Yet in their defiance of divine commands, they fell, succumbing to the just hand of divine retribution. Each of these narratives underscores a recurring theme, a timeless lesson. Divine justice is inevitable, and the consequences of defying divine commands are grave indeed. The power, wealth, or prestige that nations amass are ephemeral, fleeting as the morning dew. It is the moral compass, the adherence to divine commands, that determines their rise or fall. The stories of mighty civilizations that have crumbled to dust, their glory but a whisper in the wind. These stories serve as a humbling reminder of our own mortality and the ultimate truth, that every soul shall taste death, and that all power belongs to the Lord of the worlds. We will explore more Reset like the mud flood another time. Share this and subscribe for more. Thanks.